Is the media to blame how we're handling the COVID pandemic? Let's get into it on the Derek O'Shea Show. Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show, where we discuss culture, news, politics, and more. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the show. Be sure to tell your friends and family about the revolution. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me and party with me and enjoy your Monday with me. It's Monday after all. Mondays suck, but when you're hanging out with Derek, it's always a great day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, thank you, Justin. Shout out to Justin, new paid member of the Derek O'Shea Club, the Revolution. Thank you, Justin, for putting your money where your mouth is and supporting my channel. It means so much to me. Fighting back against big tech, fighting back against the media oligarchy, the media supremacy, the way they control the narrative, fighting and putting your money where your mouth is for independent journalists, like independent creators like myself. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much, Justin. If you want to support me, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea Show. Buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea Show. I would greatly appreciate it. Links are always below in my bio. Check it out if you're interested. It means a lot to me. $3 a month. You could be a paid member. And I will be doing paid member-only videos coming out soon with just a little bit more paid members. And I will be off the rails on those videos. So it'll be worth it. Also, if you have any comments or questions, you can call or text. Call? What are you, a boomer? Yeah. Call or text at 720-727-7572. That's 720-727-7572. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, I can add you to a bonus episode. I take some of your questions. We can talk and stuff like that. It's not my personal cell phone, so don't expect me to pick up unless I'm online and watching. Let's get into the news today. Colin Powell passed away. Apparently due to COVID complications. At least that's what was reported on some outlets everywhere. Fox News is putting out that he just died at 84. Many other outlets are doing the same. But this is where I find it very interesting. This is where I find the way the media handles people who die from COVID complications, from COVID-related deaths, I find very interesting. And I think you should too. And I think you will too. Because we've seen for so long where people are dying on their deathbed and their last dying wish is that they would have got vaccinated. You've seen these stories. The media has put out healthy 36-year-old dies of COVID complications. But it doesn't take somebody with a doctorate or a scientist to look at some of the pictures of some of these people and go, wait, that's health? The way the media and CDC and just general information being put out by politicians about comorbidities related to COVID deaths is a big reason a lot of people don't trust you. Trust the media. Trust what's being put out there. Because you will have things like completely healthy 84-year-old dies of stuff like that makes you, in a normal, logical thinking person would go, wait a minute. That person was 200 pounds overweight and you called them healthy? Look, I know we're in a big body positivity movement, but that's where science has to intervene with emotional feelings. That's where engineers, scientists have to come in with facts and show how being overweight is one of the major causes of death in America today. But you're supposed to believe that body positivity, being 200 pounds overweight, being morbidly obese, is completely fine. I'm not saying you have to feel like a piece of crap if you're overweight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's a major health issue. It'd be like me cutting off my leg and letting it bleed and then saying, hey, leave me alone. My body, my choice. Nothing's wrong if I believe it's okay. But I don't. Colin Powell died today, and I find it very interesting how a lot of the media are handling it. So a lot of us, independent journalists, independent thinkers, are seeing the way the media has handled COVID-19 pandemic in general, and not been very honest about not only numbers, COVID-related deaths, where you've had cases where people have died of something and then been reported as a COVID-related death, and add to the numbers. But also just said things like unvaccinated person dies, and then it turns out they only had one vaccine and didn't have the second shot. It's the way the media has put out this information has been very questionable, to say the least. So you see this on a lot of outlets right now as they're talking about Colin Powell dying from COVID-19 complications. This is what I woke up to this morning. Fox News doesn't have anything about COVID-19 in their description, which is interesting because I feel like in some instances it should be that way. Because it's none of our freaking business how people die. I don't know. I gotta know how he died. Somebody write something down. Here's how CNN reported. Colin Powell dies of COVID amid cancer battle. Colin Powell dies of COVID amid cancer battle. Would you say cancer is one of the comorbidities? I don't know. You tell me. I'm not a doctor. It's a very interesting thing to add in a title, wouldn't you say? But for so long, the media has put out things like unvaccinated person dies of COVID-19, last death wish, blah, blah, blah. They don't add stuff like that. They don't add cancer battle. Is it only when people die that are vaccinated that they feel they need to add the comorbidity? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying, is that the way the media has handled his death because he's vaccinated, fully vaccinated, is my problem. They haven't been honest since the jump. They pick and choose what information they want to. They are factually true, but not truthful. You know what I mean? It's like dealing with a child. You're just like, where they just give you little white lies, and they're like, "Well, it's not. I'm not lying. I said pretty much the truth, Dad." What does MSNBC say? Oh God, they're still talking about Trump. Colin Powell. Here it is. Colin Powell was treated for multiple melanoma, fully vaccinated for COVID before death. Is that misleading in any way? That makes the average person go, Colin Powell was being treated for multiple melanoma, fully vaccinated for COVID before. See, they don't even mention that it's due to COVID complications. They don't even add that in their little stipulation, as of course they're talking about freaking Trump. MSNBC, okay, I tell this to my viewers all the time who don't listen to MSNBC. I don't know why I do, because I feel like I need to do it justice and figure out what's going on in a lot of liberal and leftist minds. They're still talking about January 6th and Donald Trump as if it's still happening every single day for the rest of it. It's like they live and repeat. January 6th is the worst day in American history. Nothing's worse. Slavery was okay compared to January 6th. January 6th was so terrible. Colin Powell, treated for multiple melanoma, fully vaccinated for COVID before death. See, this is my gripe. The way the media has handled this entire situation. They're so entrenched in their tribalism. They're so entrenched in their narrative that they will just pick and choose what pieces to add to make their base happy. And they wonder why people do not trust them anymore. They wonder why people run to independent sources like myself. Because I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. What do I need to do? What do I need to lie about? I'm not being paid by anyone telling me what to say and what not to say. I'm not gonna lie to you if I find out information like, Colin Powell also had cancer and hit COVID and died fully vaccinated. I'm not going to be like, because I lean towards conservative values, I'm not going to be like, I'm not even going to add the cancer part. I'm just going to put in that he died from COVID, fully vaccinated. See, the vaccine doesn't even freaking work. I would never do that kind of crap, because that's what people who are so entrenched in their tribalism, who can't see truth, if it slaps them in the face, that's what they do. They'll see that information and they'll just decide, I'm not going to add it. I'm going to add the story that gets my viewers pumping, that gets my viewers' energy going. Because that's what I'm about. I'm about feeding my tribalistic base, making them feel good on the inside, feel like they get some real information. Then they go into their friends with talking points and they'll say, guess what? Fully vaccinated Colin Powell died of COVID. So there you go. And then you have somebody like myself or somebody has a different outlet going, yeah, he also had cancer. So, but we're at this stage right now where we're not even allowed to talk about, comorbidities. We're like, you see on the news all the time where it's like, healthy 36-year-old dies of COVID-19. Last dying wish was that they wanted to be vaccinated. And then you look at the pictures, you're like, that person is clearly 200 pounds overweight. Are we just we're not going to talk about, morbid obesity as if it's not a major reason why most people die in our country in general due to heart disease. We're not going to talk about it. Because the media wants to keep their base scared. They want to keep you fearful, so you run to them for answers as opposed to coming out with your own information yourself. And so seeing stuff like this, where MSNBC is being more fair, or CNN's being more fair, because this person is vaccinated, because this person fits their category. Okay, if they're vaccinated, we're going to tell the truth. But if they're unvaccinated, we're going to skew the story however we want in order to stir up our base. See, it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I think Bari Weiss going on Brian Stelter beautifully sums up how I feel about the media, how I feel about general politicians, or people in general who are so stuck in their ways, who are so stuck in their tribalistic mentality, where they're just like, I won't see the forest through the trees. It's like the same people who have their favorite president, whether it's Obama or Trump or Bush or freaking Joe Biden. I don't know how, but and they're like, they were a great president. They did nothing wrong. And they're like, there's nothing you could say that would change my mind. And I say, well, what about these things? And they're like, like, relax. Can we just have a logical, thoughtful conversation about anything today? Or are we looking for our savior and our God in our tribe? And we're just so entrenched that we feel attacked. It's like if I say anything negative about Trump supporters are like, I'm going to fight you. If I say anything negative about Bush supporters, I'm going to fight you. If I say anything negative about Joe Biden, people lose their freaking minds. It's like, can we not critique things anymore? Is that what's going on? We have our ways and we have our tribe, and they're a part of us, even though they don't know us by name, have never talked to us before. We feel like we have to defend them. But here's Bari Weiss on Brian Stelter, which I find very interesting. So let's listen to it. We'll dissect it. But I think it's really, really telling about what's going on in the media, and also it relates to Colin Powell and the headlines about it.
You're right. There are tens of millions of Americans who aren't on the hard left or the hard right who feel the world has gone mad. So in what ways has the world gone mad?
Well, when you have the chief reporter on the beat of COVID for the New York Times talking about how questioning or pursuing the question of the lab leak is racist, the world has gone mad.
Yes. That was a huge talking point for a long time. Brian Stelter is going to come back and say, God, it's like the worst quality of video. I apologize. Okay, there it goes. No, it's back to being terrible. For the longest time, you had news media outlets talking about how just saying anything about China and how the way Donald Trump even says China, that's racist. It's ridiculous. But the media put it out there.
When you're not able to say out loud and in public that there are differences between men and women, the world has gone mad. when we're not allowed to acknowledge that rioting is rioting and it is bad.
Mostly
and that
peaceful.
Violence is not violence, but violence is violence. The world has gone mad. When we're not able to say that Hunter Biden's laptop is a story worth pursuing, the world has gone mad. When, in the name of progress, young school children, as young as kindergarten, are being separated in public schools because of their race, and that is called progress rather than segregation, the world has gone mad.
Yes.
There are
Yes, Queen.
dozens of examples
Yes,
that I
Bari
could share
Weiss, Queen.
with you and with
And
your
you
viewers.
often say,
everyone
allow.
Okay, and this is what I hate about the news media so much, is that she puts out this fantastic point, and he doesn't even engage. They just talk at each other. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on this? They don't actually have a conversation. They're not normal human beings like you and me. That's why Sanjay Gupta went on Joe Rogan. He's like, I talked to Joe Rogan for 3 hours. I've never talked to anyone for 3 hours in my entire life. Are you freaking kidding me? You've never had a conversation with someone before?
sort of knows this, and
You say we're not allowed,
the
we're not
chasm
able.
between-
Who's the people stopping the conversation? Who are they?
You.
people that work at networks, frankly, like the one I'm speaking on right now, who try.
Boom! She knocked it out of the park. It's almost like Brian Stelter didn't even know. Did he know? It's such a T-ball question. It's not even a softball. It's a T-ball question. It's right there in front of you. All you got to do is hit it out of the park. And she did. The media controls the information. They control so many people's minds because people trust them. People still trust them. I don't know how you can. I don't know, because when they issue a correction, it's on the 75th page in a tiny fine letters. They're just like, hey, sorry, we screwed up that entire story. Oops. Sorry, we didn't add this information in. We probably should have. It's like Joe Rogan pushing Sanjay Gupta, CNN's medical analyst. Say, isn't it defamation to say that I took horse paste? I don't know, maybe. Don't you think that's a bad thing? I don't know, maybe. You're the chief medical advisor on CNN and you're not sure. These people are in their bubbles and in their and they feed into the bubble, though. That's my problem, is that they have their bubbles and they have their narrative and they just build on top of this narrative so people have this worldview that is based on a complete fabricated narrative. And that's why some people are so stuck in their tribe, because they believe what information has been provided to them is true. Nobody reads anymore. Just look at headlines. Okay, let's go.
And claim that, it was racist to investigate the lab leak theory. It was.
But
I mean,
who
let's
said
just
that
take
at
an
CNN?
example.
But I'm just saying that when you say allowed, I just think it's a provocative thing you say. You say we're not allowed to talk about these things, but they're all over the internet. I can Google them. I can
Brian,
find them everywhere. I've heard about every story you mentioned.
Course.
So I'm just suggesting, of course, people are allowed to cover whatever they want to cover.
But you and I both know, and it would be delusional to claim otherwise, that touching your finger to an increasing number of subjects that have been deemed third rail by the mainstream institutions and increasingly by some of the tech companies will lead to reputational damage, perhaps you losing your job.
Yes, like
your
Bari Weiss.
children sometimes being demonized as well. And so what happens is a kind of internal self-censorship. This is something that I saw over and over again when I was at the
I hate when
New
people
York
do
Times.
that. Okay. Barry's spot on. All through COVID, we've seen the media, the way they talk about the way people die of COVID is unbelievable. No one's been honest about how people are dying. They're just like, COVID complications, check. COVID death, check. My biggest gripe about this whole COVID thing has always been, we don't talk about therapeutics as if there's anything to help people. There's like, the only therapeutic is vaccine. That's it. Really? So when I get sick, I'm just supposed to what? Social distance and put my mask on? That's it? That's where we're at right now? That's the only therapeutic for me? And then get some rest? I don't know. What else am I supposed to do? Because all I've been told is that the vaccine is good and that's the only thing that helps. Nobody discusses things seriously on news media outlets anymore. They'd be held accountable for things that they have to say. They'd be held accountable for their narrative, and their tribe, their political affiliation, their favorite political personality will have to be called out. And they don't want that anymore. Everyone's so frail and just wants to create their narrative, create their little safe space, and create their little safe box that they can just weave in and out of and not actually have deep theological, philosophical conversations about some of this stuff and address real issues anymore. Like, there are things that you can't even say nowadays because statistically it makes one race look a little worse than the other race. And all of a sudden that becomes a racist thought, as opposed to like, well, maybe this is something we should address, or maybe this is something that community should talk about more. It's like with this COVID thing. So what are the factors of some of these COVID deaths? Are they older people? Are they morbidly obese? Are they alcoholics? Are they smokers? Or you can't even talk about it. The way the media talks about COVID is they make it seem like the minute you get COVID, you're automatically going to die. And that's all there is. And if you don't have the vaccine, you're definitely going to die. And that's like literally the feeling and the way they write their headlines. That's what it feels like. Am I wrong? Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know, am I wrong? Is the media doing a great job in the way they handle not only COVID, but the protests / riots all summer long, maybe even January 6th? Is the media doing a great job? And I'm just missing the plot. I'm actually the one in a different reality. I'm the one who isn't seeing things clearly. I actually need help. Is that true? Please call me out, because and if you call me out, make sure you have a picture in your profile, not just a fake symbol. So, because I don't trust any. I mean, I get why you do, but whatever. I just don't care. The media consistently creates a narrative rather than doing real journalism anymore, and displaying real facts and real truth, because a narrative and hysteria sells better than sex in today's world. If they can generate hysteria in your heart and your mind and create this sense and urge of anger and frustration, they can lock you in and keep you forever. Because anger and frustration goes a long way for them to continue to build on top of that narrative. So when somebody like Colin Powell dies of COVID complications, you see some media outlets only talking about the fact that he was vaccinated and died of COVID. But the real story is he also had cancer. And he's also 84 years old. And he also is fully vaccinated. But let's not talk about that, because that is factual. And I don't want to talk about facts, because facts make me feel uncomfortable. I just want to talk about narrative and things that make me feel good on the inside. And I like to be told what to say. I want Fauci to tell me how to think and feel. And I want Joe Biden to tell me what to do. Do I put my mask on? Do I take my mask off? I know you were in D.C. and you walked without your mask throughout the restaurant, breaking, your own mask mandate that you encourage. So it's rules for me, not for thee, which is great, which I love. I love that. I wish we had a poll on how many elite people or people in power are actually vaccinated. Because my guess is I'm not sure, but it makes you wonder. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Derek O'Shea Show. It means so much to me to take time in your day. This was a weird media day. I feel like I had to really think about what to talk about. But I just kept looking at the Colin Powell stuff. I just thought it was so interesting the way a lot of different media outlets were handling his death. His death. But then it made me think about how many times They do that to other people. They just use people like you and me for stories to create their narrative or continue on with their narrative in such a way that's just completely disrespectful to people, A, that died, and also doesn't tell the true story. Doesn't help people like you and me out. Imagine if the media was honest about this whole COVID thing. And they broke down like most people, the people that are affected and the people that are probably be okay to get it. Imagine if they did that. No, that's seen as fake news. You can't talk about stuff like that. You're not allowed to. The powers that be deem it as misinformation. Even as the CDC puts it out at this point. Because they're stuck in their narrative. They're stuck in their ways. They're trenched in the way they want to do things around here. And you and I are just little pawns in society. They want to stay in control, and they want to get rid of people like me, independent creators, especially people that are just starting to rise up in the rankings. They especially want to get rid of people like me because it's easier. My voice isn't as strong as people like Tim Pool or Steven Crowder or anybody, Alex Jones especially. They want to get rid of people like that. It's harder to get rid of people like that. It's easier to get rid of people like me nowadays. So let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. Do you think the media is doing a great job, or do you think they're doing a terrible job? I'm genuinely curious of your thoughts because at this point, I genuinely feel like we're living in altered realities. Like Bari Weiss was putting out fantastic information about why she thinks people are going crazy and the media is going crazy. And Brian literally didn't excuse it, but he also didn't even confirm or deny it. And that kind of tells you how guilty they don't care. And they don't even want to talk about the things that they get wrong. They don't. And people still watch them. I know their ratings are going down like crazy, but it's just unbelievable to me how many people still tune into them. Let me know your thoughts. I freaking love you. I hope you have a fan-freaking-tastic day and enjoy the rest of your day because you know what? You deserve it because it's all about you. Have a great day. Bye.